I can feel everyone staring as I walk into the Metropolitan Vintage Fashion Guild exhibition. The Dior New Look dress, carefully draped over my arm in a garment bag, feels heavier than its delicate fabric should. 5 years of restoration work. Countless hours hunched over ancient silk with specialized needles. All for this moment. May, you finally made it. Arthur, the exhibition coordinator, rushes over with clipboard in hand. We've reserved the central pedestal for your piece. Everyone's been asking when it would arrive. I smile, trying to mask my nervousness. Traffic was terrible. Is the display case ready? All set, this way. As we walk through the gallery, I can't help but admire the other pieces on display. Exquisite Chanel suits from the 1950s, a rare Balenciaga wedding gown. But nothing quite like my grandmother's dress, a 1947 Dior original with a story no other piece here could match. Then I see her, Vanessa Chen. Standing by the empty display case meant for my dress, scrolling through her phone with those impossibly long manicured nails. My stomach twists into a knot. What is she doing here? I whisper to Arthur. Who, Vanessa? She's covering the exhibition for her fashion blog. 2 million followers now, can you believe it? We couldn't buy that kind of publicity. I force a smile and nod, but inside, I'm 17 again, watching Vanessa accidentally spill an entire glass of red wine on this very same dress at our college graduation party. The night she knew I was wearing my grandmother's precious heirloom. The night she pretended to trip after I received the internship we both wanted. Oh my God, Maylin! Vanessa's voice carries across the gallery as she spots me. She air kisses both my cheeks, her expensive perfume overwhelming my senses. It's been forever! 5 years, I say. Not that I've been counting. She's looking me up and down, taking in my simple black dress and comfortable shoes. Practical attire for a conservator who works with her hands all day. Meanwhile, Vanessa looks like she stepped out of a magazine spread, which I suppose she has. So this is the famous dress you've been restoring? She reaches for the garment bag and I instinctively pull back. Come on, let me see it, for old time's sake. Arthur intervenes. We should get it in the display case immediately. Museum regulations. Of course. Vanessa's smile doesn't reach her eyes. I just want one tiny peek. After all, I was there when it had its little accident. My jaw tightens. That little accident took me years to repair. Fine, I say, carefully unzipping the garment bag to reveal just a portion of the midnight blue silk with intricate beadwork along the bodice. Happy? Vanessa's fingers, heavy with designer rings, reach out to touch the fabric. It's beautiful, May. Who would have thought you'd turn your little hobby into an actual career? Before I can respond, Arthur calls from across the room. May, can you come sign these insurance forms? I zip up the bag. Don't touch anything, Vanessa, please. Cross my heart, she says with that same fake smile. I shouldn't leave the dress. Every instinct tells me to stay. But Arthur is waving frantically, and I need this exhibition to go perfectly. My career depends on it. I'll be right back, I tell her, walking backward to keep my eyes on both Vanessa and the dress until the last possible moment. The paperwork takes longer than expected. Insurance forms for a dress valued at over $500,000 aren't simple. When Arthur starts asking about the authentication documents, I become distracted, digging through my folder. 10 minutes pass, maybe 15. Then I hear the scream. An assistant curator is standing by my garment bag, her hand over her mouth. I run over, already knowing what I'll find before I get there. The bag is open. The dress is exposed. And across its delicate bodice and skirt run 3 deliberate slashes, the silk parting like wounded skin. Dark liquid, coffee from the smell of it, has been poured over the destroyed fabric, seeping into the seams and staining the beadwork. Someone call security, Arthur shouts, but I can't move. This is worse than the wine. Wine could be carefully lifted from the fibers. These are cuts. Deliberate, violent cuts that have severed threads more than 70 years old. The damage is catastrophic. Oh no, comes Vanessa's voice from behind me, dripping with false concern. Who would do such a thing? I turn to face her, rage building in my chest. Where were you just now? Excuse me? Her eyes widen with practiced innocence. Security, I call out. Check the cameras, now. But of course, when we review the footage, there's nothing. A technical glitch caused the cameras to stop recording for exactly 17 minutes, the precise window when someone destroyed my life's work. I'm so sorry, May, Arthur says as security packs up the ruined dress. The insurance will cover the value, of course, but I know that's not the point. No, I say quietly. It's not. As I leave the gallery, clutching the garment bag with my ruined treasure inside, my phone buzzes with a text. Unknown number, but I know who it's from before I even read it. Some vintage things are better left in the past, don't you think? My apartment feels smaller tonight. The dress is spread across my work table under the bright conservation lights, and it looks even worse than it did at the gallery. The slashes are precise. Someone used sharp fabric scissors or a razor. The coffee has already set into the fibers, impossible to remove completely now that hours have passed. I sink into my chair and stare at it. 5 years of work, gone. And for what? Because Vanessa Chen still can't stand that I have actual talent while she has… what? Money? Connections. 2 million followers who care more about her designer handbag collection than anything of actual substance? My phone keeps buzzing with messages from friends who were at the exhibition, asking if I'm okay. I'm not. I shut it off. The dress wasn't just my career centerpiece. It was my connection to my grandmother, Lin Mei Hua, who came to America with nothing but her skills as a seamstress, who worked for wealthy Manhattan families, including one that employed her to care for their children, a family who gifted her this Dior dress when they no longer wanted it. A cast-off to them, but to her, a treasure beyond measure. A dress like this has a soul, she told me once, letting me touch the fabric when I was just a child. You can feel the hands that made it, the love in every stitch. My rent is due next week. I've spent everything I had preparing for this exhibition, certain it would lead to the high-end restoration commissions I need to stay afloat. Without the dress, I have nothing to show potential clients, nothing to prove I'm special in a city full of talent. I pull open my desk drawer and find the sleeping pills the doctor prescribed when anxiety kept me awake for 3 days straight during my last major restoration. There are plenty left. I shake 2 into my palm, then reconsider and add a third. I chase them with the remains of a wine bottle from last night. Poor choice, mixing pills and alcohol. But I'm not thinking clearly. I just want the pain to stop for a while. I don't mean to do anything stupid. I just need to sleep, to escape. I curl up on my sofa with the ruined dress laid across me like a burial shroud, my fingers tracing the damage as my consciousness begins to blur. The last thing I remember thinking is that I never should have trusted Vanessa again, that I should have known better, that some people, like some dresses, can't be restored once they've been damaged beyond repair. I'm floating. Light surrounds me, filtered through what looks like layers of fine silk. I reach out to touch it, and it ripples like water. Careful now. A familiar voice. Grandmother. You're not quite here, not quite there. I turn and see her, younger than in my memories, dressed in a simple qipao, her hair in a neat bun. Behind her stands a long workroom table where other women sit, bent over fabric with needles flashing in the strange light. Am I dead? I ask. Almost, she says with a small smile. You took too many pills with that wine, silly girl. Your landlady found you when the neighbors complained about your alarm going off for hours. I look down and see I'm still wearing my black dress from the exhibition. The Dior? Is why you're here instead of there. She gestures to the women at the table. We've been watching you work on it. Beautiful technique. You have hands like mine. I move closer to the table. The women aren't all from the same time period. Some wear clothes from centuries ago, others from decades past. All work with intense focus, their fingers moving with impossible speed and precision. Who are they? The ones who came before, the ones who understand what it means to put soul into cloth. My grandmother takes my hand. Come, there's someone who wants to meet you. She leads me to the end of the table where a man sits, sketching designs on translucent paper. He looks up, and I know his face immediately from fashion history books. Monsieur Dior, I whisper. He smiles. Your grandmother tells me you've been caring for one of my creations. I was, until today. The memory of the slashed dress brings tears to my eyes. It's ruined now. Nothing with true soul is ever truly ruined, he says, rising from his chair. May I? He holds out his hands, and suddenly the damaged dress appears between us, floating in the strange light. Dior circles it, examining the cuts and stains with a professional eye. Deliberate, he says, cruel, but not beyond hope. I've tried every restoration technique I know. Some damage can't be undone. My grandmother exchanges a look with Dior. There are techniques you don't know yet, child. The dress remembers, Dior says. Every garment with soul remembers its true form. It remembers the hands that made it, the bodies that wore it, the emotions it witnessed. If you can learn to listen. He places his hands on the dress, and beneath his touch, I can see the fabric responding. Threads shifting, fibers reaching for each other across the slashes. How are you doing that? I ask, moving closer. The same way you will, my grandmother says. If you choose to go back. I have a choice? She gestures around us. You can stay here with us. Learn from the masters for eternity. Or you can return with the gift of rebirth. Rebirth? The ability to help clothing remember what it once was, to guide it back to life. She places her hands beside Dior's on the dress. Not just to repair, but to rebirth. I watch in amazement as the dress begins to glow beneath their touch. The slashes start to close themselves, threads reconnecting as if they'd never been cut. This gift comes once in a generation, Dior says, to someone who understands that fashion is not just about beauty or status, but about preserving moments in time. And it hurts, my grandmother adds. The connection you'll feel to every piece you touch, you'll experience its entire history, its joys and sorrows. It's not an easy gift. I look at the dress, now half restored under their hands, and I could save it completely? That and more, Dior says. But only garments with true soul, true craftsmanship. Mass-produced items have no memory to access. You need to decide quickly, my grandmother says. Your body is in the hospital. They're trying to wake you up. I reach out and touch the dress beside their hands. Immediately, I feel a jolt. Memories that aren't mine flooding through me. My grandmother wearing this dress on rare special occasions. The original owner dancing in it at a New York gala, the seamstresses in Dior's atelier creating it stitch by stitch. It's overwhelming, but also exhilarating. I want to go back, I say. I want the gift. Dior nods. Remember what I've shown you. Let the garment guide your hands. My grandmother embraces me, her form already becoming transparent. Find me in the stitches, she whispers. I'm always there. The workroom dissolves into blinding light. I hear machines beeping, urgent voices calling my name. And she's back, we've got a pulse. The hospital ceiling comes into focus. Fluorescent lights, white acoustic tiles. My mouth feels like it's stuffed with cotton. Miss Lynn, can you hear me? A doctor leans over me, shining a light in my eyes. I try to speak, but my throat is too dry. A nurse holds a cup of water with a straw to my lips. You're at Mount Sinai Hospital, the doctor explains. Your landlady found you unconscious in your apartment yesterday evening. You had a dangerous combination of sleeping pills and alcohol in your system. Yesterday, I've lost a day. The dress, I croak. The doctor looks confused. I'm sorry? There was a dress with me, blue silk, vintage Dior. Oh, the nurse nods. The fancy old dress. Don't worry, it's in the closet with your other things. Relief floods through me, followed immediately by the memory of the damage. What was I thinking? The dress is still ruined. The dream, because surely that's what it was, changes nothing. You're very lucky, Miss Lynn, the doctor continues. Your heart actually stopped for nearly 2 minutes. We were about to call time of death when you suddenly came back. 2 minutes. Was that when I was in that strange workshop? We've run some tests and there's something unusual we'd like to discuss. He flips through my chart. You appear to have developed a condition called hypersensitivity in your extremities, particularly your hands. It's rare, but sometimes occurs after certain types of trauma. I look down at my hands. They look the same, but they feel different, tingly, more aware. What does that mean? You may experience heightened touch sensation. Some patients report being able to detect subtle texture variations that most people can't perceive. It's not dangerous, just unusual. The nurse helps me sit up. Is there someone we should call for you, dear? Family? Friends? I shake my head. My parents are back in Taiwan, and I don't want to worry them. As for friends, the one person I might have called once is the reason I'm here. They discharged me that afternoon with strict instructions to follow up with my regular doctor and a referral to a therapist. I take a taxi home, clutching the garment bag that contains the ruined dress. My apartment is exactly as I left it, except for a note from my landlady on the coffee table. Called 911 when I heard your alarm. Left spare key with super. Get help. Mrs. K. I drop my hospital paperwork on the table and immediately take the dress to my workstation. Under the bright conservation lights, I carefully remove it from the bag. The damage is still there, slashes across the bodice, coffee stains on the skirt. But as soon as my fingers touch the fabric, something extraordinary happens. Images flood my mind, clearer than in the dream. I see my grandmother receiving the dress from her employer in 1960. I feel her disbelief, her joy. I see her carefully storing it, only wearing it twice. Once for a community celebration, once for my mother's wedding. I feel the pride she took in owning something so beautiful, more than images, emotions. The happiness the dress witnessed, the careful hands that created it, the celebration when it was first unveiled at Dior's showing. My fingertips begin to tingle, then glow with a subtle golden light. I should be frightened, but instead I feel a deep sense of rightness, of purpose. Let me help you remember, I whisper to the dress, echoing Dior's words from my dream. I work through the night, my hands moving with a confidence I've never felt before. I don't follow conventional restoration techniques. Instead, I let the dress guide me, showing me how its threads want to reconnect, how the fibers want to clean themselves of the coffee stains. By dawn, the dress isn't just repaired, it's transformed. The midnight blue silk now has a subtle iridescence that shifts in the light. The beadwork sparkles with new energy. The fabric feels impossibly soft yet strong, with a drape that defies its age. I step back, exhausted but exhilarated. The dress isn't just restored to its original condition. It's better. Reborn just as I was. And I know with absolute certainty that everything has changed. This is impossible, I whisper, examining the dress under my microscope. The fibers show none of the stress typical of 70-year-old silk. The weave is perfect, more perfect than humanly possible. Under polarized light, the fabric reveals subtle patterns invisible to the naked eye, like secret messages woven into the material. It's been a week since my rebirth, and I've spent it experimenting with my new abilities. Yesterday, I visited a consignment shop and bought 3 damaged vintage pieces: a 1950s Balenciaga scarf with moth holes, a 1960s Chanel jacket with a torn lining, and a 1920s beaded evening bag missing half its beads. Each piece responded differently to my touch. The scarf showed me a young woman wearing it on her honeymoon in Paris. The Chanel jacket revealed a businesswoman breaking into a male-dominated industry. The beaded bag shared memories of speakeasies and forbidden jazz clubs. As I worked on each piece, I discovered rules to my new ability. First, I can only rebirth items with genuine craftsmanship and history. When I tried to repair a damaged fast fashion dress from the consignment shop's clearance bin, nothing happened. No memories, no connection. Second, the process drains me physically. Each rebirth leaves me exhausted, needing hours of recovery. Third, the items emerge not just repaired, but somehow enhanced. Colors more vibrant, textures more refined, as if returning to an idealized version of themselves. My phone rings, interrupting my thoughts. It's Arthur from the exhibition. May, how are you? We've all been so worried. I'm fine, I lie. Just taking some time off. The insurance company needs documentation of the damage to process your claim. Could you bring in the dress? Unless it's too painful, of course. I look at the perfectly restored, no, reborn dress hanging on my dress form. Actually, Arthur, the dress isn't damaged anymore. What? But I saw it. Those cuts? I found a way to restore it. A new technique. Silence on the line. That's not possible, May. The conservation team said the damage was irreparable. I'll bring it in tomorrow, you'll see. I hang up before he can ask more questions. How am I going to explain this? I can't tell the truth. They'd think I'm crazy. Or worse, they'd try to study the dress, maybe even cut samples from it for analysis. The doorbell interrupts my panic. It's Mrs. Kaplan from across the hall holding a small Louis Vuitton handbag. May, dear, I heard you were home. Are you feeling better? Much better, thank you. She holds out the bag. I was wondering, I know you work on vintage clothing, and this was my mother's. The clasp is broken and no one can fix it. Would you take a look? I take the bag and immediately feel its history. A young woman in 1930s Paris, saving for months to buy it. Pride, independence. First major purchase on her own. I'd be happy to fix it for you, Mrs. Kaplan, no charge. Don't be silly, I insist on paying you. I smile. How about a trade? I've been meaning to try your famous rugelach. After she leaves, I examine the bag more closely. The clasp isn't just broken, the metal has deteriorated with age. Conventionally, it would need to be replaced, sacrificing originality for functionality. But now, I have another option. I place my hands on the bag and close my eyes, letting the memories guide me. My fingertips begin to glow, the metal warms beneath my touch, molecules rearranging themselves, remembering their original configuration. When I open my eyes, the clasp is perfect again. Not just repaired, but with a warm patina that speaks of its journey through time. The next morning, I bring the reborn Dior dress to the exhibition hall. Arthur's jaw literally drops when I remove it from the garment bag. This isn't the same dress, he says, circling it in disbelief. It can't be. It is. I found a way to repair it. Repair? May, this isn't repaired. It looks better than any Dior from that period I've ever seen. He leans in, examining the beadwork. How is this possible? I give him the explanation I've rehearsed. I've been developing a proprietary restoration technique, combining traditional methods with some innovations. Whatever you did, it's revolutionary. The museum conservation department will want to interview you. No, I say too quickly. I'm not ready to share the details yet. Patent pending and all that. Arthur looks skeptical but nods. Well, the insurance claim is moot now, obviously. But I have to tell you, this dress needs to be seen. We're planning a special exhibition on fashion conservation techniques for next year. Say you'll participate. I'll think about it, I promise. As I leave, my phone buzzes with a text from Mrs. Kaplan. The bag is perfect, better than new. My friend Eleanor Hartwell wants to meet you. She's on the board at the National Fashion Museum and has a hopeless Chanel jacket. Can she come by this afternoon? And just like that, my new life begins. Eleanor Hartwell is exactly what you'd expect from a museum board member. Elegant, discerning, and used to getting what she wants. She arrives at my studio in a chauffeur-driven car, carrying a garment bag as if it contains the crown jewels. In a way, it does. This belonged to my mother, she explains, carefully unzipping the bag to reveal a 1920s Chanel jacket in black boucle wool. She wore it when she met Hemingway in Paris. The moths got to it in storage and the lining is disintegrating. 3 conservators told me it's beyond saving. I examine the jacket. The damage is extensive. Large holes in the fabric, the silk lining shredded, the braided trim unraveling. But as soon as I touch it, I feel its history. The pride of the woman who first wore it. The craftsmanship of the hands that made it. The memories it holds. I can help it, I say, carefully choosing my words. Not repair or restore, but help. Because that's what I'll be doing. Helping the jacket remember its true self. How long will it take? Eleanor asks. 3 days. Come back on Friday. She raises an eyebrow. The Conservation Institute at the museum estimated 6 months if it could be done at all. I just smile. Friday. After she leaves, I spend hours with the jacket, not just working on it, but listening to it. Under my glowing fingertips, the wool remembers its original weave. The silk lining rebuilds itself, molecule by molecule. The braided trim rewinds like a film played backward. When Eleanor returns on Friday, she actually gasps. This is impossible, she whispers, running her fingers over the now perfect fabric. It looks better than it did in photographs from the 1920s. I have a gift, I say simply. Whatever your price would have been, double it, she says, still staring at the jacket. And I want you to come to the museum next week. There are pieces in our collection that deserve your gift. Word spreads quickly after that. Eleanor introduces me to private collectors with impossible restoration projects. Each success builds my reputation. My waiting list grows. I move from my cramped apartment to a proper studio in Chelsea with northern light and enough space for my growing collection of specialized tools, though it's my hands that do the real work now. I establish strict rules for myself. I only rebirth items with genuine history and craftsmanship. I never create fakes or replicas. I honor the original design and materials. Even as I enhance them, the money starts flowing in. Wealthy clients pay astronomical sums for my services. Museums commission me for their most precious pieces. Fashion houses consult me on their archives. Through it all, I keep the reborn Dior dress in my studio, displayed on a form behind glass. It's my talisman, my reminder of how this all began. I've turned down offers for it, one reaching $900,000 from a private collector in Japan. It's not for sale, not yet. One evening, as I'm closing up the studio, I get a text from Eleanor. Turn on NY Style channel now. Someone you know. I pull up the live stream on my tablet. It's Vanessa, doing a special on luxury condominiums in Manhattan. She's standing in a sleek, minimalist space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. And this is the living room of my new home, she's saying, gesturing around the space with practiced elegance. I believe in investing in real estate rather than just fashion, though of course I do both. The camera pans to show her extensive closet filled with designer labels. My collection is curated much like my social media presence, only the best makes the cut. I feel a strange mix of emotions watching her. Anger, certainly, but also pity. Every piece in her closet is new, mass-produced luxury. Nothing with real history or soul. Nothing that would respond to my touch, just empty status symbols. Eleanor texts again. Her condo was featured in last month's Architectural Digest. $2.3 million for 1,100 square feet. More money than sense. I look at my dress form where the reborn Dior glows softly in the evening light. A plan begins to form in my mind. The next day, I call Arthur at the Metropolitan Vintage Fashion Guild. Remember that exhibition on conservation you mentioned? I'm ready to participate, and I want the Dior to be the centerpiece. Wonderful, but I should tell you, the exhibition has evolved. It's now going to culminate in an auction to benefit the Guild's conservation department. Would you consider consigning the dress? I smile to myself. Actually, that sounds perfect. The call comes 3 weeks before the auction. Unknown number. Mei Lin, it's Vanessa Chen. My hand tightens around the phone. How did you get this number? Please, you're the talk of the vintage fashion world. Everyone's talking about your miracle restorations. Her voice has that false sweetness I remember too well. I'm calling about the auction. I'm covering it for Vogue now, not just my blog. Congratulations, I say flatly. I'd love to do a special feature on you in the Dior dress. Before and after photos, the story of how you salvaged it after that terrible accident at the exhibition. You mean after someone deliberately destroyed it? A pause. Well, no one knows who did that. Such a shame the security cameras malfunctioned. My free hand clenches into a fist. What do you want, Vanessa? Just an exclusive. We were friends once, weren't we? And now we're both successful in our own ways. You with your little restoration business, me with my media empire, and, well, everything else. I think of her standing in that $2.3 million condo surrounded by meaningless luxury. I'll consider it, but I need to go now. Client waiting. Of course, you're busy. Just one thing. Is it really the same dress? The photos I've seen? It looks different somehow. Better. People are talking. It's the same dress. See, my sources tell me it looks too perfect. Almost like a reproduction. That would be quite the scandal, wouldn't it? Famous conservator passing off a replica as the original? There it is, the threat, thinly veiled. Come see for yourself at the auction, Vanessa. I'm sure your expert eye will know the difference. I hang up and immediately call Eleanor. We have a problem. The authentication process for the auction is rigorous. I provide all my grandmother's documentation, photographs of her wearing the dress, the original gift receipt from her employer, her handwritten notes about its care. The auction house brings in textile experts who examine every inch of the fabric. It's authentic, the head authenticator finally declares. The construction methods are consistent with Dior's atelier from that period, but the condition is astonishing. If I didn't know better, I'd say it was made yesterday. How did you achieve this level of restoration? I give my practiced answer about proprietary techniques and years of research. He looks skeptical. There's something else. During our examination, we found what appears to be a hidden pocket in the inner seam. Did you add that during restoration? A pocket? This is news to me. Show me. He leads me to the inspection room where the dress is laid out. Using white-gloved hands, he carefully turns part of the seam to reveal a tiny pocket ingeniously integrated into the construction. Inside is a small yellowed piece of paper folded into a tight square. We didn't remove it, as it appears to be original to the garment, he explains. With trembling fingers, I carefully extract the paper and unfold it. It's a handwritten note on Dior's personal stationery. For Madame Harrison, who appreciates that true beauty lies in the details no one else can see. This gown, my personal favorite from the New Look collection, carries within its seams the dreams of a new era. May it bring you joy for many years to come. Christian Dior, 1947. The authenticator's eyes widen. This changes everything. A personal note from Dior himself, confirming this was his favorite from the collection? The Provenance value alone. He recalculates the auction estimate on the spot. What was previously valued at $500,000, $700,000 now jumps to $1 million. $1,500,000. And I think of my grandmother, who probably never knew this note was hidden in the dress when she received it as a hand-me-down. Of Vanessa, who tried to destroy something priceless out of petty jealousy. Of my own journey from restoration to rebirth. That evening, my phone rings again. Vanessa, I hear there's been a fascinating discovery about your dress. Her voice is tight with forced casualness. News travels fast. So now you're claiming it contains a personal note from Christian Dior? How convenient. Almost as if it appeared right when questions were being raised about its authenticity. The auction house found it, not me. They've already verified it's authentic. A pause. Let me write about this, May. Exclusive access. I'll make it a cover story. Why would I do that after what you did? I don't know what you're talking about, but her voice has lost its confidence. Think about it, May. I can make you famous, or I can raise questions. It's your choice. After she hangs up, I sit for a long time, staring at my hands. The hands that brought the dress back from destruction. The hands that discovered their own power through an act meant to destroy me. I text Eleanor. She's getting desperate. Good. The response comes immediately. Security is in place for the auction. No one touches the dress but authorized personnel. We're ready. The night before the auction, I can't sleep. I go to my studio and stand before the dress, now carefully packed for transport to the auction house in the morning. Thank you, I whisper to it, for everything you've shown me. Under the studio lights, the reborn fabric seems to shimmer in response. The auction room at Sotheby's is packed. My dress, listed in the catalog as Christian Dior New Look Gown 1947 with handwritten Dior Provenance, the Lynn Dior, is scheduled as the final lot, the star of the show. I sit in a special section reserved for consigners, my hands clasped tightly in my lap to hide their occasional shimmer, a side effect of my gift that appears when I am emotional. Eleanor sits beside me, regal in vintage Balenciaga. Nervous? She asks. Terrified. She pats my hand. Don't be, this is your moment. I scan the crowd and spot Vanessa in the third row, wearing a white Chanel suit that probably cost more than my first year's rent in New York. Our eyes meet briefly before she looks away, pretending to be fascinated by her auction catalog. The auctioneer moves efficiently through the earlier lots. Important pieces, certainly, but I barely register them. My attention is fixed on the illuminated display case at the side of the stage where my dress waits, glowing under perfectly positioned spotlights. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our final lot of the evening. The auctioneer's voice shifts, becoming more reverent. Lot 42, the Lynn Dior, a 1947 New Look evening gown personally selected by Christian Dior as his favorite from the collection, with original handwritten provenance. A collective murmur ripples through the room as images of the dress appear on screens around the auction hall. Photographs from my grandmother's collection, the discovery of the hidden note, and finally, the dress as it appears today, reborn to impossible perfection. As you may know, this extraordinary piece survived a deliberate act of vandalism last year, only to be restored to a condition that our experts call unprecedented in textile conservation. We'll start the bidding at $500,000. A forest of paddles rises immediately. $600,000 on my left, $700,000 from the gentleman in the back, $800,000 from our online bidder in Tokyo. The price climbs rapidly. $900,000, $1 million. The paddles start to lower as bidders drop out. I glance at Vanessa. She's not bidding, of course. Even she can't afford these amounts. But her face is a fascinating study in conflicting emotions. Shock, anger, disbelief. She catches me looking and forces her features into a neutral expression. $1.2 million from the lady in front. $1.3 million on the phone. Eleanor squeezes my hand. The phone bidder is from the Costume Institute, she whispers. The online bidder is a private collector who's been buying up major Dior pieces for years. The battle narrows to 3 bidders: the Costume Institute, the online collector, and a slender woman in the front row who bids with calm determination. $1.5 million on the phone, $1.6 million online, $1.7 million to the lady in front. The room has gone completely silent except for the auctioneer's voice and the occasional gasp when a new bid comes in. $1.8 million on the phone, $1.9 million online. The woman in front hesitates, then raises her paddle again. $2 million. Whispers erupt around the room. This is now the highest price ever paid for a Dior piece at auction. $2.1 million on the phone. The online bidder drops out. It's down to the phone and the woman in front. $2.2 million, the woman counters. A pause from the phone. The auctioneer waits, tension building. $2.3 million on the phone. The exact price of Vanessa's condo. I feel a strange sense of cosmic balance. $2.4 million, the woman says without hesitation. Another pause. The auctioneer looks to the phone bank where a representative is listening intently. The bidder on the phone is out. We have $2.4 million from the lady in front. Going once, going twice. The gavel falls with a decisive crack. Sold for $2.4 million to bidder number 27. Applause erupts. Cameras flash. I sit frozen, unable to process the number. More than triple the high estimate. A record-breaking price. More than Vanessa's precious condo. The woman who won the bidding turns slightly, and I recognize her now. Grace Wu, director of the National Fashion Museum. She catches my eye and gives me a small nod. Eleanor leans over. Congratulations, dear, you've just made history. I look for Vanessa, but her seat is empty. She's gone. After the auction, there's a reception for the highest value consigners. I'm surrounded by well-wishers, collectors, museum curators. Grace Wu approaches with a glass of champagne for me. That was quite spectacular, she says. I hope you don't mind that we were bidding against ourselves at the end. What do you mean? She smiles. The phone bidder was also representing the museum. Eleanor suggested we create a bit of drama for the final lot. Good for publicity. I look at Eleanor, who winks at me from across the room. She planned this, orchestrated the record-breaking sale to ensure maximum attention. The dress will be the centerpiece of our new exhibition on textile conservation and rebirth, Grace continues, and we'd like you to be our guest curator. I'd be honored. Excellent. We'll also need your expertise on several pieces in our collection that could use your special touch. As she walks away, I feel a presence behind me. I turn to find Vanessa, her white suit immaculate, but her composure decidedly not. Quite the show, she says, her voice tight. I suppose congratulations are in order. Thank you. I take a sip of champagne, savoring the moment. I'm surprised you're still here. I thought you left. I needed some air. Her smile is brittle. $2.4 million. For a dress that was trash a year ago, it's unbelievable. Some things have value beyond what we can see on the surface. Please, she rolls her eyes. It's a dress. A very old dress that someone rich is now going to lock in a climate-controlled display case. It's more than that. It's history, craftsmanship, art. It's luck. You got lucky. Her voice drops to a whisper. We both know what that dress looked like after the exhibition. No restoration technique in the world could have fixed those cuts. I meet her gaze steadily. Are you admitting you're the one who destroyed it? I'm not admitting anything. She glances around to make sure no one is listening. But whoever did it had every reason to think that dress was finished, that you were finished. Well, they were wrong. I place my empty glass on a passing server's tray and about both. How did you do it, May? What's your secret? There's something desperate in her eyes now. I could promote it, make you even more famous. There's no secret, Vanessa, just talent. Something you've been trying to destroy since college. Her face hardens. You think you're so special, so talented. You got a lucky break with that stupid note in the dress. That's all. The note wasn't luck. It was always there, waiting to be found. Just like my ability was always there, waiting to be recognized. I step closer to her. Tell me something. Why did you do it? Was it really worth it trying to destroy something beautiful just because you couldn't have it? I don't know what you're talking about. But her voice wavers. The dress, the competition in college. Taking credit for my designs, all of it. What did it get you? A fancy condo? Followers who don't know the real you? A career built on other people's work? Her eyes flash with anger. At least I didn't have to wait for someone to destroy my work to become successful. I made myself famous. No, Vanessa, you made yourself known. There's a difference. She opens her mouth to respond, but at that moment, a waiter passing behind her trips, sending a tray of red wine glasses cascading directly onto her pristine white Chanel suit. The crimson liquid blooms across the fabric like blood. Oh my God, she shrieks, jumping back. This is a $20,000 suit. The waiter apologizes profusely. Everyone stares. Vanessa's face is a mask of rage and humiliation as she tries futilely to blot the stains with cocktail napkins. I could offer to help, to use my gift. But the suit has no soul, no history worth preserving. And neither, it seems, does Vanessa. Some stains, I say quietly, so only she can hear, reveal what was always there. I turn and walk away, leaving her surrounded by fake concern and smartphone cameras. Tomorrow, her embarrassment will be all over social media, the fashion influencer who couldn't save her own outfit. Eleanor appears at my side, a knowing smile on her face. What an unfortunate accident. Was it? I give her a sidelong glance. The universe has a way of balancing accounts. She links her arm with mine. Now let's discuss your future. The museum position is just the beginning. With your gift, you could revolutionize how we preserve fashion history. As we walk toward Grace Wu and the museum board members, I feel lighter than I have in years. The dress is going where it belongs, to be appreciated for its true value. My grandmother's legacy is secure, and my own path is finally clear. You know, Eleanor says thoughtfully, revenge isn't usually so profitable, or so elegant. I smile. The best revenge isn't just living well, it's remembering who you truly are. Behind us, I can hear Vanessa still making a scene about her ruined suit, but her voice fades into the background, irrelevant now to my story. A month after the auction, I'm unlocking my new atelier in Soho when I hear the click of expensive heels on the sidewalk behind me. Nice upgrade, Vanessa's voice. I guess 2.4 million buys a lot of real estate these days. I turn to face her. She looks different. Thinner, with dark circles under her eyes, poorly concealed by expensive makeup. Her social media empire has taken some hits since the auction. The wine incident went viral, of course, but worse for her, fashion insiders started questioning her expertise after she published a scathing article suggesting my dress was fake, only to be publicly corrected by the National Fashion Museum and 3 independent authenticators. I didn't spend the money on real estate, I say, pushing the door open. Come in if you want to talk. I have work to do. She hesitates, then follows me into the bright, airy space. My new studio is everything I've ever dreamed of. North-facing windows, custom workstations, climate-controlled storage for delicate pieces. Through an archway, students prepare for the day's restoration workshop, part of the educational program I've established with my auction proceeds. Wow, playing teacher now? There's less venom in her voice than I expected. She sounds almost curious. Sharing knowledge. There aren't many people preserving these techniques. I set my bag down on my primary workstation. What do you want, Vanessa? Another chance to accuse me of faking the dress? She walks to the display case where I keep my current projects. A 1930s Schiaparelli jacket with surrealist buttons waiting for rebirth. I want to know how you did it. Did what? Fixed the dress. Made it better than new. She turns to face me. I know what I did to it, May. I know how bad the damage was. So, here it is. Finally, a confession. Why did you do it? She looks away. Because you were getting everything I wanted, again. What are you talking about? You've got millions of followers, a luxury condo, designer clothes. And you've got real talent. The words seem physically painful for her to say. You always did, even back in school when you submitted my designs as your own and won the Garner Fellowship that should have been mine. She flinches but doesn't deny it. I thought if I had the opportunities, I could develop the talent. That's why I took your designs. Why I ruined your dress the first time. I thought if I could just get ahead just once, I'd prove I deserved it. And the second time? At the exhibition? She looks down at her manicured hands. By then, it was just hatred, I guess. You were still talented. I still wasn't. Nothing had changed. The raw honesty surprises me. So why are you here now? Because nothing makes sense anymore. Her composure cracks. That dress was beyond repair. I made sure of it. But somehow you fixed it. Made it better than it ever was. And now you're the toast of the fashion world and I'm... She gestures vaguely. Watching my followers unsubscribe because I picked a fight with the wrong conservator. I study her face, seeing beyond the perfect makeup to the insecure girl I once knew. The one who always had the best clothes but cried in the bathroom when her designs were criticized. I can't tell you how I fixed the dress, Vanessa. Why not? What's the big secret? Some chemical process? Digital enhancement before the auction? What? The secret is that there is no trick, just connection. Understanding what makes a garment special, respecting its history. I move to my workstation and pick up a pair of delicate scissors, my grandmother's. Some things can't be faked. That's not an answer, but there's less fight in her voice now. It's the only one I can give you. She walks to the window, looking out at the fashionable crowd passing by on the street below. I'm losing everything, you know. My sponsors are dropping me. My condo is on the market. Turns out I can't actually afford it. Even my follower count is tanking. I'm sorry, and surprisingly, I mean it. No, you're not. She turns back to me. But you should be gloating more. I would, if our positions were reversed. That's the difference between us. I never wanted to see you fail, Vanessa. I just wanted you to stop trying to make me fail. Something in my words seems to hit her harder than any accusation could have. She sinks onto a stool, suddenly looking exhausted. What am I supposed to do now? Fashion is all I know, and I've burned every bridge in the industry. Start over, learn actual skills, build something real. She laughs bitterly. Easy for you to say. You've got magical restoration powers or whatever your secret is. Before that, I had years of training, practice, failure. You can't skip the hard parts, Vanessa. One of my students approaches nervously. Miss Lynn? The morning class is ready whenever you are. Thank you, Min. I'll be right there. After the student leaves, I turn back to Vanessa. I have to go. She stands, smoothing her designer dress. Last season's, I notice. Not her usual straight-from-the-runway look. Right, your adoring students await. I walk her to the door. As she's about to leave, she pauses. May, for what it's worth, I am sorry. About the dress, about everything. The apology catches me off guard. I search her face for signs of manipulation, but find only tired resignation. Prove it, I say. How? Stop taking shortcuts. Do the work. Build something that matters. She nods slowly. Maybe I will. She steps onto the sidewalk, then turns back. By the way, this arrived at my old address for you. From before, everything. She hands me a small envelope with my name written in shaky characters. The return address is a nursing home in Queens. My heart stops when I recognize the handwriting. Thank you, I whisper, clutching the envelope. After she's gone, I open it with trembling fingers. Inside is a faded photograph of my grandmother, wearing the Dior dress at my mother's wedding, along with a note in Chinese. My dear Mei Mei, the nurses helped me write this. My time is coming soon. Remember what I taught you about the soul in the stitches? Some things are meant to be passed down, not just objects, but gifts. Your hands were always special. Trust them. With eternal love, Grandmother Lin. The date on the letter is 3 years ago, long before my near-death experience, before the dress was destroyed, before my rebirth. Somehow, she knew. I pressed the letter to my heart, my fingertips glowing faintly against the paper. Then I carefully tuck it away and join my waiting students, ready to pass on what I've learned about preservation, rebirth, and the soul stitched into everything we create. 6 months later, I'm standing in my expanded atelier, watching my students work on their final restoration projects. The space has transformed, just like me. What began as a small teaching studio has grown into the Lin Institute for Textile Conservation, with a waiting list for classes and restoration commissions booked 2 years in advance. I move between the workstations, offering guidance here, a word of encouragement there. Most of these students are working with traditional techniques, but a few show signs of having the gift. Like Min, whose fingers sometimes emit the faintest glow when she's deeply focused. I'm teaching her separately, helping her understand her emerging abilities. My phone buzzes with a notification. Eleanor has sent a link to an article. Fallen fashion influencer launches sustainable clothing repair initiative. There's a photo of Vanessa dressed simply, teaching teenage girls how to mend and upcycle clothing in what looks like a community center. I zoom in on her face. She looks different, calmer. There's a focus in her eyes I've never seen before. Miss Lin? Min appears at my side. There's someone here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment. I look up to see Vanessa standing in the doorway holding a garment bag. Gone is the designer wardrobe, replaced by well-made basics. Her hair is pulled back in a simple ponytail, her face almost bare of makeup. Vanessa, this is a surprise. I won't stay long. She seems uncomfortable, out of place among the serious students and historic textiles. I just wanted to show you something. She unzips the garment bag to reveal a white Chanel suit, the same one ruined by red wine at the auction reception. I've been working on it for months, following traditional techniques like you said, doing the work. I examine her restoration. It's not perfect. There are still faint shadows where the wine stained deepest, but the craftsmanship is impressive for a beginner. Neat, precise stitches. Patience in the details. You did this yourself? She nods. Every stitch, no shortcuts. It's good work. It's not magic like yours, she says with a small smile, but it's honest. I touch the fabric, feeling for its energy. There's something there now, not just the empty status of a luxury label, but the imprint of hours of careful work, of learning, of humility. I started a program, she continues, teaching basic repair skills to girls in underserved communities. Turns out I'm not terrible at teaching. She shrugs. Who knew? I'm glad, Vanessa, really. She hands me a flyer for her program. Restitched, fashion repair for the future. At the bottom is a note. All materials and equipment donated by the Vanessa Chen Foundation. Your foundation. I sold the condo and most of my designer collection. She looks around at my institute. I figured if you could use your auction money to build something meaningful, so could I. There's a moment of understanding between us, not quite friendship, but something like respect. Anyway, she continues, I was hoping you might consider being a guest lecturer sometime. The girls would love to meet you. I'd be honored. And I'm surprised to realize I mean it. As she turns to leave, I see a small embroidered patch on the shoulder of her denim jacket, a needle and thread forming a heart. Nice patch, I say. She touches it self-consciously. I made it myself. First thing I've ever designed that wasn't copying someone else. After she's gone, I return to my private workroom, where my most challenging projects wait. On my restoration table lies a 1950s Charles James gown with structural damage that would be impossible to repair through conventional means. I place my hands on the fabric, feeling its history flow through me. The woman who commissioned it for her debutante ball, the jealousy it inspired, the champagne spilled on its hem in celebration. My fingers begin to glow, guiding the fibers back to their original formation, helping the dress remember what it once was. As I work, I think about Vanessa and her simple embroidered patch, about my grandmother's letter, about the many forms rebirth can take. That evening, after the students have gone, I lock up the institute and walk to the small courtyard garden behind the building. In the center stands a display case containing the reborn Dior dress, on loan from the museum for our educational programs. In the fading light, it seems to glow from within, its midnight blue fabric shifting with iridescent highlights that weren't part of the original design but emerged during its rebirth. Like me, it carries the marks of its journey, not visible damage, but a transformation into something more complex, more interesting than before. My phone buzzes with a text from Eleanor. Dinner tonight? The museum board wants to discuss expanding your conservation program nationally. Before I can reply, another text arrives, this one from Vanessa. Thank you for today. For everything, actually. Even when I hated you, I knew you were the real thing. Some of us just take longer to find our way. I look again at the dress that started it all. From destruction came rebirth. Not just for the garment, but for me. And perhaps in her own way, for Vanessa too. I text Eleanor back. Can we make it tomorrow? Taking the night off to celebrate. Then I send a message to Vanessa. Your patch gave me an idea. How about a collaboration? Your community outreach plus my conservation techniques. Let's talk. As I walk home through the busy New York streets, I feel my grandmother's presence beside me, her words echoing in my mind. Your hands were always special. Trust them. I look down at my fingers, which occasionally shimmer with golden light when I'm not concentrating on hiding my gift. Once I feared people would see this, would know I was different. Now I understand it doesn't matter. The real magic isn't in the glow, but in the connection to history, to craftsmanship, to the souls stitched into every meaningful thing we create or restore. Some people, like some garments, can be reborn if you believe in their worth. If you take the time to help them remember what they were meant to be. 2 years later, I stand in the Grand Hall of the National Fashion Museum, surrounded by the world's most influential conservators, designers, and historians. The exhibition, Rebirth, the Future of Fashion Preservation, has drawn record crowds. Ready? Eleanor asks, elegant as ever in vintage Balenciaga. I nod, smoothing the silk of my dress, a modern creation inspired by my grandmother's Dior, custom made for tonight's opening gala. The museum director taps her glass for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the visionary behind tonight's exhibition, the woman who has revolutionized how we think about fashion conservation, Mei Lin. Applause fills the hall as I step onto the small platform. Cameras flash, I spot familiar faces in the crowd, my students, now colleagues. Grace Wu from the museum board, even Vanessa standing quietly in the back, her restitched program logo pinned to her blazer. Thank you all for coming tonight, I begin. This exhibition represents more than just techniques or methods of conservation. It's about recognizing that fashion is living history, objects that carry within them the stories, emotions, and craftsmanship of those who made and wore them. I gesture to the displays surrounding us, garments from every era, each restored with a combination of traditional techniques and my special touch. Not all were reborn with my gift. I've been selective, using my abilities only on pieces with true soul and significance. 2 years ago, a single dress changed my life, a 1947 Dior New Look gown that belonged to my grandmother. Tonight, I'm thrilled to announce that the Lin Institute, in partnership with the Restitched Foundation, is establishing a scholarship program for young conservators from underrepresented communities. More applause. Vanessa gives me a small nod of acknowledgement from the back. And now, I continue, I invite you to experience the centerpiece of our exhibition, a room we call the Memory of Fabric. The crowd follows as I lead them into a darkened gallery where garments float in specially designed cases, their histories projected around them in light and sound. A wedding dress accompanied by the laughter of the ceremony, a wartime uniform surrounded by images of conflict and courage, a child's christening gown enveloped in lullabies. In the center, on a revolving pedestal, stands the reborn Dior, my grandmother's dress, now the museum's most valuable possession. As it turns, different aspects of its journey appear. My grandmother receiving it as a gift, me wearing it to graduation, the destruction at the exhibition, and finally, its triumphant rebirth and record-breaking auction. Everything we wear holds memories, I tell the hushed crowd. Our job as conservators isn't just to preserve fabric, but to protect those memories for future generations. After the formal tour ends, I find myself alone with the dress for a moment. I place my hand on the display case, feeling the familiar energy radiating through the glass. She would be proud, Vanessa's voice coming from behind me. My grandmother? Her too. Vanessa moves to stand beside me. But I meant your mother. She called me last week about the scholarship program. I turned to her in surprise. You spoke with my mother? She found me through the foundation. Wanted to thank me for collaborating with you. Vanessa gives a wry smile. Apparently, she always thought we brought out the best in each other, even when we were fighting. That sounds like her? I study Vanessa's face, noticing the contentment that's replaced her former brittle perfection. Your program is doing amazing work. The before and after gallery upstairs is impressive. Thanks. Having the Lynn Institute name attached hasn't hurt. She hesitates. I never thought I'd say this, but losing everything was the best thing that ever happened to me. Made me build something real. You always had it in you. No, I needed the push. She nods toward the dress. Needed to hit rock bottom. We stand in companionable silence, watching the play of light on midnight blue silk. Do you ever miss it? She asks eventually. The power? The big money restorations? I smile, flexing my fingers slightly, feeling the familiar tingle of power beneath my skin. I still use my gift, but selectively now, focusing on pieces of historical significance rather than private commissions. The world thinks I've simply perfected my restoration techniques, but a few, like Min, who now shows unmistakable signs of the gift herself, know the truth. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, I tell Vanessa, doing what I'm meant to do. Later that night, after the guests have gone and the museum is quiet, I return to the Dior display. I've asked for a few minutes alone, a request the security team grants given my status. I carefully open the case and place my hands on the dress for the first time in 2 years. Immediately, I feel the rush of memories, not just my grandmother's now, but new ones. Museum visitors moved to tears by its beauty. Children pressing their faces to the glass in wonder, conservators studying it with reverent hands. And something else, something unexpected. As my fingers trail across the beadwork, I don't just see the past. I glimpse the future. The dress decades from now, still inspiring new generations. Min passing the gift to her own student someday. The Lynn Institute expanding across continents. Vanessa's program growing to empower thousands. I step back astonished. My gift is evolving, showing me not just what was, but what could be. The dress shimmers under my touch, responding to my surprise with a subtle ripple of iridescence. A living thing, still growing, still changing, just as I am. Thank you, I whisper, carefully closing the display case. As I walk through the darkened museum toward the exit, I pass dozens of garments I've touched with my gift. Each one containing not just history now, but possibility. Not just rebirth, but future. Outside, the night air is cool against my skin. I look up at the stars, thinking of my grandmother's words from so long ago. The true value of anything is the love woven into it. I understand now what she meant. Value isn't in the price tag or the designer label. It's not even in the craftsmanship alone. It's in the connections we create. Between past and future, between maker and wearer, between destruction and rebirth. My phone buzzes with a text from Min. It happened again. My hands glowed while working on the Balenciaga. What does it mean? I smile as I type my response. It means you're ready. Come by tomorrow. There's so much more to show you. I slip my phone back into my pocket, my fingertips shimmering briefly in the darkness. Some gifts are meant to be passed down, their value growing with each generation. Just like the most precious garments, becoming more beautiful, more significant with time. And not despite their damage, but because of how they've been reborn.